When playing in ATB Final Fantasy, which mode do you typically play on? ATB Active or ATB Wait? If you ask a speedrunner the same question, you'll likely hear them say ATB Wait because it's usually the faster mode. But why would ATB Wait be faster? After all, this is the mode where time stops in menus, whereas in ATB Active, time keeps flowing. But is it about time stopping that could possibly save time? Especially since, unlike in a casual playthrough, speedrunners already know the exact strategies and sets of actions to take in order to beat each fight. For those of you unfamiliar with ATB games, the ATB system, or Active Time Battle System, was first introduced in Final Fantasy IV on the SNES all the way back in 1991. Unlike traditional turn-based RPGs where you select actions for your entire party and then watch as your allies and enemies take actions one by one, the ATB system introduced this bar that slowly fills up over time, making speed more than just a stat that gives you a higher chance of going earlier each round of attacks. When the bar is full, you can select an action for your party member, and then they will either perform that attack right away or spend some time to cast the skill. It was a revolutionary system that shaped the future of Final Fantasy games for years, and has even been adopted by many other games as well. While playing on ATB Active Time, the ATB bars continue to fill up even while selecting an action. So unlike turn-based games, players now have the added pressure of selecting skills as quickly as they can lest they give the enemies more turns. However, not everyone wants to play with a time crunch. While ATB Active Time gives players more time pressure, it does also encourage players to use simpler strategies with less thought put into them. As a compromise so that the developers don't alienate their turn-based fans of the series, ATB Wait Time was also added as an option. When you play on ATB Wait Time, time stops when you're inside a sub-menu, so the ATB bars no longer fill up while you are selecting skills or targets. This gives players more time to strategize. Instead of picking out actions that are reasonably good while under a strict time crunch, you can instead take your time to plan out what you want to do and select what you would consider the ideal set of actions to take, making them play more like turn-based games with a timeline akin to Final Fantasy X. You might expect that you could just use all the same strategies you would on ATB Wait Time in ATB Active Time, just with the pressure of selecting every skill fast enough. And in an ideal world, you may be right. However, there are major gameplay implications that drastically alter how these games are balanced depending on which option you choose in many of the ATB Final Fantasies, even if you could theoretically choose skills with zero delay. To show you what I mean, let's take a look at Final Fantasy IX. Here's what a typical battle looks like. Pay attention to Zidane's ATB bar, especially when the boss starts attacking. Do you notice anything strange? Some of you have likely noticed, but Zidane's ATB bar is still filling up, even while someone is attacking. Characters have to take turns attacking one by one. They don't all attack as soon as they've selected an action. Since the ATB bars are still filling up while attack animations are playing, this ends up mitigating the effect speed has in combat. Let me illustrate how this works. To keep things simple, let's pretend Zidane fills his ATB bar in 2 seconds while the enemies fill them up in 3 seconds. If time stopped in the middle of attack animations, Zidane would go first. Afterwards, another second passes before the enemies all attack in a row. Then Zidane gets 2 more attacks before all enemies attack together, looping back around. So Zidane gets 1 extra attack than the enemies every 6 seconds of combat. Because time doesn't stop with attack animations, this is what would happen instead. For the sake of keeping things simple, let's say it takes everyone 2 seconds to perform their attack animations. Zidane would fill up his ATB bar first and then attack an enemy. During his animation, the enemy's ATB bars would fill up all the way, which lets them attack one by one, filling Zidane's ATB as well as some of the enemy's ATBs as well. Just 1 second after Zidane finishes attacking, the enemies will get another turn, creating a pattern of everyone taking 1 action at a time. So in practice, this makes it harder for anyone to take multiple turns in a row, and this effect gets exacerbated further by having more characters on the screen, making speed a lot less useful as a stat. But what does all of this have to do with ATB Wait Time? After all, ATB Wait has the same system in place. It's not like the ATB bars stop during attack animations, right? Remember when I said that time pauses inside submenus? Even though time still progresses during attack animations in ATB Wait Mode, you can force time to stop by entering a submenu. This is called ATB Wait Tricking, and it's a very important tactic in most ATB Final Fantasy speedruns. By stopping the ATB during certain attack animations, you can stop bosses from filling up their ATB bars while the party's ATB is full in order to give your party extra actions every now and then. This cuts down on the number of attacks enemies get per round of combat, improving the party's survivability and cutting down on the amount of time wasted from enemies attacking. The details of how ATB fills up differs from game to game, so ATB wait tricking works differently depending on the game, if it even exists at all. ATB wait tricking isn't just some ultimate hack that gives runners extra turns though. It's a very powerful tool, but runners aren't just ATB wait tricking every boss fight willy-nilly to get free turns everywhere. It's always done with very specific intentions, and misusing it would simply lose time. To show you what I mean, let's take a look at the Masked Man fight in Final Fantasy IX. In this fight, we have 3 characters who are faster than the boss: Zidane, Blank, and Marcus, though Marcus is just barely faster. If we have Zidane and Blank queue up steals and then sit in a menu with Marcus or Cinna, we can give Zidane and Blank another chance to steal before the Masked Man gets another turn. We can do the same thing with Marcus, though because he's not much faster than the boss, it becomes a lot harder to do since Final Fantasy IX requires you to exit and re-enter the menu to ATB wait trick. Cinna on the other hand is slower than the boss, so it doesn't matter what you do, he will never get an extra steal. We can look at the Black Waltz 2 fight for another example. Here, Zidane is the only one faster than the boss, so I want him to go first. By pausing time until Zidane's attack is fully done, he can get another attack in before the boss's turn. Everyone else meanwhile will have their animations play out to fill up the ATB. Trying to pause the ATB during any of their attacks is simply a waste of time, as it stops everyone's ATB from filling up with 0 benefits. Zidane can be ATB wait tricked even if he attacks second or third, but doing so wastes time as he would have to pause time for extra attack animations, delaying everyone's turns. These are some of the tamer examples of ATB wait tricking. There are also other much more powerful examples of ATB wait tricking when looking at the other games. More specifically, Final Fantasy IV 3D, where ATB wait tricking is used for very different reasons. Unlike in Final Fantasy IX, ATB bars in Final Fantasy IV do pause during ally attacks, but they don't pause during boss attacks. This works heavily in the player's favor as the player's ATB bars continue to fill up even when the boss is attacking, but the boss's ATB bar pauses when the party is attacking, giving players more opportunities to deny enemies turns. Or at least that's what you think, but there are some issues that make this work out differently than how you might expect. One mechanic of bosses in Final Fantasy IV 3D is that bosses love to counter the party's attacks, which throws a wrench into everything. Let's take a look at the Zeromus fight to see why this is the case. For this fight, speedrunners can have Kain attack up to 10 times between each of Zeromus' turns thanks to stacking on haste and haste march on Kain, while Zeromus is affected by slow. By using white magic against Zeromus though, there is a chance that he counters with Flare. Because Flare is a counter attack, Zeromus' ATB is actually filling up during this animation, which means his next turn will come up much sooner, negating all the extra turns Kain would normally have, giving runners only 1 attack instead of 10. And I'm sure you don't need me to tell you how big of a difference missing out on 9 whole attacks is. In order to prevent this, on bosses where counters are an issue, runners will have at least 1 character ready to stop time when the boss counters. There's also another aspect that's very important when it comes to time. After all, the ATB bar isn't the only thing that's affected by the flow of time. In the Demon Wall fight, runners open a sub-menu every time Demon Wall inches closer to the party, which is completely pointless in terms of getting extra turns. The boss's ATB never fills up at any point during its own turn. Why even bother trying to pause time? Uh-oh. Looks like Rydia's haste march ran out. Certain status effects like Berserk, Darkness, and Haste have a set duration. Under normal circumstances, these statuses don't last very long, as boss animations will typically eat away at them. By pausing time during boss attacks, it makes these statuses last much longer than the developers intended. Not every Final Fantasy has time flow during attack animations though. Final Fantasy V and 8 do actually pause time during attacks like you'd expect. So why do runners of these games still use ATB wait? Actually, let's look at it the other way around. What benefit is there to using ATB active time? In ATB active, time will still flow while selecting skills. If you're too slow at selecting a skill, the boss would just get another turn, which wastes time from extra animations and makes your party more susceptible to dying. Now let's say you're really fast and you manage to select all your skills fast enough to deny the boss extra turns. The only benefit really is that in that time you spent selecting skills, your other allies filled up a little more of their ATBs. Compare that to ATB Wait Mode. If you simply wait for all of your allies to fill up their ATBs and then select your first skill, then time will pause from your allies' attack. During this time, you can queue up more skills for the rest of your party, which costs no additional time. So the time you lose is minimal at worst. When you think about it, there really isn't much benefit playing in ATB Active. All you really do is add on more risk of losing time from extra attack animations here and there, or in the worst case, dying to bosses, all for minimal to no benefits. And in the case of the games where time flows during attack animations, you lose out on the benefits of ATB wait tricking. With how little point there is in playing on ATB Active and how much ATB wait helps, whether it's simply for the safety or for gaining more turns, it's no wonder most Final Fantasies are run with ATB Wait Mode. If you're interested in more speedrunning content, be sure to click on the video on the screen.